Hello everyone, welcome to Decoding Downtowns, brought to you by Vistity. In this podcast, we dive deep with leaders from business improvement districts across the nation, revealing the strategies that are shaping the future of urban development and economic growth. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Jamie Schwartzman. You know, one of the great things on Decoding Downtowns is we get to explore all over the country, go to different districts. Today, we're going to Hoboken, New Jersey, which has some of the best views of Manhattan. We'll be speaking with Roxanne Earley. She's the executive director of the Hoboken Business Alliance in Hoboken, New Jersey. Roxanne, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing really well.
Well, great. It's great to have you here. So let's start by giving us the introduction to Hoboken, New Jersey. What's happening there?
Sure. So we're just over a square mile. We're nestled on the coast of New Jersey, as you said, just looking directly over at Manhattan. We're one of the most densely populated cities in the United States, and consequently one of the most walkable cities in North America. We've got proximity to major airports, New York City, stunning waterfront views, and we're a prime destination for regional tourism. We have campus-like amenities for our major regional employers, folks like Lipton, Walmart, and soon-to-be Unilever, and we really have unparalleled quality of life for nearly 60,000 residents who call Hoboken home. One of the things that I personally love about Hoboken is how robust the local ecosystem here is. The city has a history that's rich in manufacturing, from turn-of-the-century industry, and a really strong entrepreneurial spirit. So we have a ton of opportunities for independent businesses that are getting started, and national chains where they thrive side by side. We have a great mix of several generations born and raised Hobokenites, as well as many new residents who are coming to the city. They're attracted by that quality of life, and they're working together to kind of help Hoboken become an even better place. And I think that this makes the town surprisingly diverse and multi-passionate, and everybody's really excited to get involved and help out.
Awesome. So, I'm talking to a lot of different place management organizations. Tell me about yours. How are you organized? How are you financed?
Good question. So we are governed by the New Jersey State Special Improvement District law, and so we are a special improvement district. We're authorized by a local ordinance, which allows us to collect an assessment from properties located within our district. Our district is the entirety of the city of Hoboken, which is relatively unique for place management and place stewardship organizations, and we assess commercial properties. We are organized as a nonprofit 501c3 governed by a board of trustees with staff who carry out the mission of the organization.
I see. So it's just commercial properties, not residential?
So the state of New Jersey actually considers rental properties of 4 units or more to be commercial property. So we do also assess rental properties.
Got it. Okay, so executive director, what does that mean? What do you do?
For a small staff, the executive director is a little bit of everything. In addition to working closely with our board of trustees to carry out the mission and, guide the organization along, I'm also HR representative. Sometimes I'm doing a little bit of everything, not just connecting with our, major stakeholders and our elected officials, but also, getting out on the ground, talking to businesses, working on marketing campaigns, helping to ensure we have permits and we're ready to go for new installs. It's a little bit of everything, which is one of the reasons why the job never gets boring.
And tell me a little bit about you. How did you get into this line of work?
I'm a trained city planner, so I attended Pratt Institute in Brooklyn.
Great.
It was a wonderful experience, especially they focused on community development and community engagement, which was where I really shined and really enjoyed my time there. Prior to that, I'd studied sociology and photography. I thought I'd be a photojournalist when I grew up, but I'd always felt called to cities. I think that they're really important spaces for cultural, social, civic, innovation and tolerance, and they were always places I wanted to be. So I knew really early on in my life that I was going to be in and wanted to help make the project that is a city work better for all of the people that were in it. I think that what's really interesting in how I ended up in, place management, place stewardship, and economic development is that organizations like the Hoboken Business Alliance, like business improvement districts, they're really at the forefront of blending a lot of these different pieces of urban life that fascinate me. They're thinking creatively about solutions to urban problems. They're stewards of the environment, and as such, they're working closely with community organizations. They're places where you can bring new arts and culture. It's not truly public, but it's a public-private partnership, so there is public service. You are accountable to members of the community. I think logistics are really fascinating, and I love that part of the job as well. And so all of these fields really inspire me, and I think that they contribute to the vibrancy of urban areas, and is how I sort of got my start here, is just following that thread.
How long have you been in the role of executive director?
So I've been in the role for about 2 years. I started in September of 2022, and that was a sort of a really important inflection point for the Hoboken Business Alliance. There had been pretty significant recovery post-pandemic lockdown. The Alliance actually got their very first assessment in 2020 and quickly reoriented from that first-year plan into support, helping businesses understand new regulations and lockdown, helping to support outdoor dining, just helping bring everyone together in Hoboken during a really, really difficult time for, everyone across the world. And as the Alliance and Hoboken sort of came out of and into 2022, they were thinking about, what's our next step? Where do we want to go from here? And consequently, I was also looking for the opportunity to make my mark and do some strategic planning and think about how to grow, an organization of this type. And it was a really good match.
Excellent. Well, let's pivot and start talking about economic development. And I want to know how your organization plays a role in economic development in Hoboken.
So the Hoboken Business Alliance is the primary entity focused on economic development in the city of Hoboken. We're a strong partner with Hoboken's local government, and we are working closely on all of the different aspects that you would expect of an economic development entity. We're thinking a lot about, tourism, business attraction and retention, policy development and implementation, as well as, aspects of the physical realm that ensure that Hoboken continues to be a vibrant place to thrive. And, our mission is really to help small businesses thrive and to improve and activate our public realm. And one of the ways that we do that is by working collaboratively. So we're about bringing together that business element, the government, and the community to cultivate a beautiful and flourishing city that attracts visitors, supports new and existing entrepreneurs, and helps to establish us as a really strong destination in the region.
So tell me about some of the challenges that you're facing that may be unique to your district.
Sure. So as an organization that is just about to be 5 years old and came to exist during the pandemic, we've only just released our very first strategic plan earlier this year. We're in the first, 3 to 6 months of executing on that plan. And a big challenge is changing the narrative of the organization and who we are as being more than just a single facet of our mission. Some members of the community know us as just an events entity. Some folks know us as just the outdoor dining folks or just sanitation services. And we're trying to, communicate the expansiveness of who we are and how we serve the community, and also build a stronger track record in business support, economic indicators tracking and reporting. These somewhat more sophisticated and mature parts of our mission are huge priorities for us in the near term.
Well, let's talk about some of that data. And what of the data that you guys are monitoring and tracking, what do you think is the most important for investors, developers, new businesses? What do they care about?
I think the two biggest indicators right now are visitorship information. And there were some really interesting and eye-opening statistics from our recent market economic analysis, letting us know we're actually a huge regional destination already. We hosted 2.9 million unique visitors in the fiscal year that just ended. And those folks came on average 6.5 to 7 times each. We are a repeat hub in the region for folks to come to, which was really exciting information for us to have. And a lot of our footfall data, while we don't have a ton of it from before the pandemic, we're seeing that we're actually back to where we were before, lockdown started in terms of visitorship, which is really exciting. And another piece is, of course, tracking these comps, who's coming, how many folks are coming, what's being leased. those pieces of data are really important for investors and for the board to understand that folks do see the promise of Hoboken and are investing in locating here.
Is there development happening right now, construction underway?
So we have currently about 1.65 million square feet of retail in the city, with another 176,000 square feet in development. We have 2.6 million square feet of office, with another 65,000 in development. So we have a ton of commercial space in development, a lot of residential units. We have 2,500 new units in development right now. There's a lot of interest in Hoboken.
Are these infill projects? Are they renovation projects? Just give me a sense of the character of development that's going on at Hoboken.
Each of them are unique kind of in their own way. One of the major ones is an adaptive reuse, reinvigoration of the downtown terminal area. This is called Hoboken Connect. That's a major project that's happening both around and on our major transit hub. There are several significant projects slated for the northwest part of town, which has historically been warehouses or surface parking lots that are being kind of turned into these more multi-use and mixed-use development projects.
I see. And are these now in ground break phase? Are they in planning phase?
Hoboken Connect is in ground break, and there are different projects in very different stages in the Northwest.
Do you guys maintain a report of the pipeline of those projects, or give me a sense of what you know about it?
Probably in 6 months. It's on our list of indicators that we'd like to provide. The city of Hoboken also provides that sort of data as well. And so one of the things that we're really trying to focus on is how we can be synergistic with the kind of research and data that we offer to use, the limited resources that everyone has here to complement one another.
I see. You envision using, dashboards, data visualization, any of that kind of stuff as you're building this stuff out?
We definitely want to use dashboards and data visualization. It is actually in our strategic plan to hire specifically for that kind of role, development and policy kind of full-time staffer. And that will be something that I'll work really closely with them on sort of determining what makes the most sense for Hoboken with what's already out there, what's offered, and what's sort of in demand from our stakeholders.
So how do you think you tell the story of economic development in Hoboken? And also, do you think the way you're doing your storytelling is changing?
Definitely think that the way that we are doing our storytelling is changing. I think that we're constantly bringing new resources to bear here, and the hiring, so I was hired and I immediately went to hire a director of marketing and communications, and she has brought incredible, skills to storytelling. We focus a lot on the story of our independent businesses. We do a lot of unique features of our businesses on our social media channels and our newsletters to highlight who they are, because often a consumer wants to be closely connected to the place that they're buying a product from. And so that's been a major way that we've shifted some of our storytelling. I do think we want to share this bigger picture about the economic prosperity, the outlook of Hoboken, and that's where we're headed. We started that this year with our very first ever economic trends report. We actually just released it last week. It was picked up by a couple of local outlets, just talking a little bit about footfalls, event, attendance, how things are doing with square footage and leasing. And where I think we ultimately want to is we want to talk about the story of a community that has it all. Hoboken has 60,000 residents. They are from all over, all walks of life, all backgrounds. We have tons of independent businesses that have even survived generations. We have a lot of new entrepreneurs coming, looking for that Main Street feel that's really close to all of the amenities of a major city like New York City. I think we really want to tell the story of Hoboken as this really unique, it's the campus that you don't have to build for a major employer. It's the small town right next to a city that the family wants to live in. It's really the place that everyone can come, and that's the story we want to tell.
So let's look ahead at the next one short year, because we're now September 2024. So if you were to, forecast out one short year, what needs to get done? What's on the table now?
I really want to see us mature as an org that has sophisticated data that partners and investors need. So again, hiring in that economic development role, I think, is going to be really crucial for us, because I want to be making inroads with our major tenants, with major potential tenants, with the folks who want to and should come and relocate here. And I also want to provide data that helps our community stakeholders and partners better succeed in their own missions, right? Economic development doesn't happen alone. It happens with your cultural institutions. So how can we provide data that allows them to thrive? It happens with your public partners. So how can we ensure that they feel supported and that we're working in concert together to get this work done? So I do think that continuing to grow and strengthen our ability to provide data and resources, and also our close partnerships with those entities, is really crucial for us.
Well, it's interesting. You guys are a young organization, but it sounds to me like there's a lot of sophisticated thought and planning that's going on over there.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
What are your long-term visions? Like, if you were to move the milepost out 5-10 years, what do you think is the trajectory, if you were to guess, for Hoboken?
I would love to see some really interesting capital improvement and urban design initiatives. Our main street in Hoboken, Washington Street, it repeatedly appears on the list of, major main streets, best made streets, wonderful small towns, super walkable small towns. It hasn't had a significant investment in its physical infrastructure, the sidewalks at least, since I think the 1990s. And a lot has changed in terms of, urban materials, technology, best practices. I'd love to see sort of a new set of guidelines and a commensurate investment in Washington Street to bring a little bit more into the modern age, to give it a little bit of a facelift. And that is in our strategic plan to, standardize some of those tree pit widths and grates and have the same bike rack on every corner and all of those sort of things. And they sound small, but the logistics of a capital project are, of course, immense. I love to see a strong adaptive reuse program and a strong vacancy program where, we have an initiative where we can maybe do, public art or events and other ways to showcase spaces that are available, while also ensuring that we continue to have a vibrant and thriving streetscape at the Alliance. We have funding for and are pursuing major public art initiatives and business initiatives, things like murals and temporary installations, downtown gift cards. And I just really would love to see all of those start to bear fruit in the next, 2 to 5 years.
So let's pretend for a moment we're going to play make-believe and imagine that you've been handed a magic wand and you can use it to cast a spell to promote the vitality of Hoboken, New Jersey. Roxanne, how would you use your magic wand?
I've thought about how to answer this question so much. I think none of this work happens in a vacuum. And so if I could use my magic wand to build a very large table that automatically had trust in all the stakeholders who were at it, that we were all ready and eager and able to partner together for every single initiative. And we also had enough runway to do that. I think that would be enormous in its ability to help transform vitality in Hoboken. But trust takes time, and we're still the new kid on the block in a lot of ways. And so I can take my rose-colored glasses off about that and just know that the work is building trust.
That would be a nice use of magic. Before we wrap up, tell us, how can we keep our eyes on the Hoboken Business Alliance and you in particular?
Of course, please feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. You can also follow the Alliance on LinkedIn, as well as Instagram at Hoboken Alliance. We're currently in the process of actually launching a new website, so stay tuned there. And you can also sign up for our newsletter as well. Currently, that is at www.hobokenbusinessalliance.com, but depending on the editor and when this goes live, you may want to use the alternative, www.visithoboken.com.
Okay, cool. Great. Well, Roxanne, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. This was a great conversation.
Thank you for having me. It was wonderful.
And to our listeners, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Decoding Downtowns. I'd also like to thank Vistity for sponsoring the podcast. And until we meet up again, keep exploring and innovating in your district.
Thank you for joining us today for Decoding Downtowns. If you've enjoyed our podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brought to you by Vistity, the leading geospatial visualization platform for data-driven decisions. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's continue to shape the future of our cities together. Until next time, I'm Jamie Schwartzman.